Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Rage, by the way, back here with another video. In this video, I'm going to be going over Fury Warrior Pre-Bis gear. Now, take this with a grain of salt. Obviously, everything is up in the air. There are a lot of different options as you're going through just the beginning steps of hitting level 70 as a warrior. Having leather, mail, and plate as an option gives us a lot of wiggle room for what we want to do. I'm sure if you've looked up any type of Pre-Bis gear on like a website or anything, there's tons of different options. It can be kind of overwhelming sometimes, so this is going to be like me narrowing down what I think is the best. Keep in mind that stat balancing is obviously very important, as you need the hit, the crit, the attack power. You want everything to, balance each other out. You don't want to go over on anything because you're just wasting stats. So the gear choices that I picked here are going to be accurate representations of gearing to the fullest with hitting those stats as much as you can. Keep in mind that they've already made changes to TBC, so we're not actually sure what it's going to be like. We have beta, and beta has kind of given us a good idea, but they've obviously changed during beta, so that will be interesting if they decide to mix up on anything else. As far as we know, the biggest change for warriors is going to be the blacksmithing. The main hands, or the weapons that you can craft, are now main hands. They're not one-handers, so that will be pretty big. I know back in the day that was how it originally was when it came out, but we were kind of told at the beginning of TBC that we were going to be pushed past that patch, and we were going to have that as we came out into TBC. So with them changing that obviously changes how we're going to stat balance and what we're going to do. So, and with all that being said, I think we're just going to get right into the video. As we get into the first category here, I thought it'd be a good idea to mention that I will be talking about dungeon, heroic, crafted, and possibly questing gear. I'm going to try to give an option for every single one, and you guys can kind of decide what you think would be best for you to try to go get. Starting off with the helms, we have the two crafted helms, the leatherworking Cobra Scale hood, and then the blacksmithing Rage Steel helm. In my opinion, the Rage Steel helm is probably going to be easier for you to get because you're going to go blacksmithing. Most people are going to go blacksmithing as a Fury Warrior for the weapons that you can get, so I think this one will be fairly easy for you to obtain. Now, if you don't want to do blacksmithing, or you're not a leather worker, or you don't want to pay the mats for those, you could also go for the Wastewalker helm, which is a tier set. The problem with this one is that you're probably going to fight people for it. It is a very sought after set for shamans and rogues alike. I think druids as well, feral druids probably. So this one will be definitely be fought for. And then you have the Helm of the Claw, which is a really easy quest item you get from the Steam Vault quest, the Warlord's Hideout. Very easy to obtain, and is a very good starting one. Going into the shoulders now, we have the Rage Steel shoulders. Also a crafted item for blacksmithing. Shouldn't be too hard for you to get if you are going into blacksmithing. We have the Mantle of Paranold, I think it's how you say it. That drops from Old Hillsbrad Foothills from the last boss. Not actually sure the drop chance on this. I've actually never even seen this from my playing TBC or even playing private servers. I've actually never seen this, so don't know what the drop chance on this is. Has very good stats on it. If it does drop, you should definitely try to grab it. Good luck. I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of classes firing for this because it is just crazy. Wastewalker shoulders as well. Part of the set piece. If you have another piece of Wastewalker, you should always try to go for the 2 set. But like I said with the last one, the helm, it's going to be sought after. You are probably going to have to roll for against people if you play with a rogue or a shaman or a druid or anything like that. So now, honestly, one of the best in slots that you can get is the Expedition Scouts Epults, however you say it. This is Alliance only. This is an Alliance only quest. This is from Fell Embers and HFC. This is just insane. Like the hit rating on it, the agility, the armor, the attack power, it is just absolutely nasty. If you're an Alliance, definitely take advantage of this, and you should be using this 100%. If you are Alliance, getting Rage Steel is still good because of if you need the set bonus. But if you can somehow get Rage Steel, the other Rage Steel pieces, to get the 2 set, and then have Expedition Scouts, it's just absolutely crazy. Okay, starting off here with the next, we have Natasha's Choker. This actually comes from a BEM quest, so Blade Judge Mountain, from Houndmaster. This is a very, very strong one. 15 crit, 10 hit, 51 attack power, so quite a bit of attack power. This is honestly probably the best on here, I would say, on my list. The AP is just absolutely insane. Your crit and hit, if you have the crit and hit already filled out, Natasha's Choker is definitely the best one that you can pick from here, just because the AP, just the raw AP. Next up, we have Insignia of the Magari Hero. Now this is horde only, but it is also very, very strong. It's not a very hard quest chain to do either. Increases your hit rating by 14, increase your critical strike rating by 15, increase your attack power by 31, and it's got 21 stamina on it. So pretty decent all the way around. Pretty solid stats. There are better options, but as a questing item goes, very, very strong. Then next up we have Trader's Noose. This actually comes from Heroic Slave Pens, I think. Yeah, Heroic Slave Pens. This is a very, very strong one. 18 critical strike, 12 hit, and 39 attack power. So if you need to fill out those stats a little bit better, maybe you need more crit, maybe you need more hit. This is a very like in between, in the middle. Also has AP on it. So Trader's Noose is kind of in between like Natasha's Choker and Insignia in my opinion. I would still probably go for Natasha's. I'd probably try my best to try to get Natasha's. Like I said, it's from a quest, so it's not going to be too hard to do. You should be able to like do that after you hit 70 like pretty easily. Out of all the categories for armor that you can get, I think chest piece is the easiest. Starting off, we have Chestplate of Adal. It is actually a Shatra quest for special delivery to Shat. This one is super easy to do, and it's got very good stats on it. 35 strength, a lot of crit, a lot of hit, very good chestplate. If you have this, you're probably not going to replace it for a while. Then we move on to obviously the Rage Steel. The Rage Steel for every single one I think is on my list. So just any type of Rage Steel you can get. So you have your 2 set, and then you can kind of decide from there if you want to keep stacking the Rage Steel or if you would like to try to get something else. But it's pretty important that you get the 2 set if you were going to go get any Rage Steel. You don't just want 1, you want to try to get 2 if you're going to do that. So this is where the stat balancing comes into play that I was talking about earlier. And then we have the Crimson Forge Breastplate. Now this one is actually like not that hard to get either. It just comes from Heroic Ramps. So Ramps is obviously one of the easier dungeons that you could do, and if you're going to be dungeon grinding, you'll probably have the rep, the Revered rep, to go right into Heroic when you hit when you get around level 70. So should be a pretty easy one to get. Like I said, I think chest piece for a Fury Warrior is pretty simple. A lot of easy pieces to get, a lot of strong pieces. Moving into back pieces, first up we have the Vengeance Wrap. Now this is going to be a very hard piece for you to get because it requires 10 Shadow Cloth, and Shadow Cloth in TBC is on a 4-day cooldown, 92 hours. Most likely people are going to be using their Shadow Cloth to get their main pieces, Shadow Priests, Warlocks. So the chances of you actually getting this right away are very slim, but eventually this is something you should go for. Next up we have the Akane Death Shroud. This is given to you in a Heroic AC from the Avatar. So not too bad, just a heroic job. Just kind of have to hope you get it. And then the next one is Cloak of the Insider. Now this cloak is probably one of the best you can get besides Vengeance Wrap. It comes from Shadow Labs, just from Blackheart. Not on Heroic or anything, just regular. So you can just farm regular for this. A lot of people farm Shadow Labs for their rep anyway, so there's a good chance that you're going to be doing this a lot. Very good cloak. Definitely try to get it. Next up, we have the Bracers. Now we have the Black Felsteel Bracers from Blacksmithing. I'm pretty sure the mats to get this are actually kind of difficult, so it might take you a little bit. I think it requires Primal Shadows, so it's not terrible. You also need Primal Nethers, so you will need, if you want to craft this, you will have to have Blacksmithing yourself, or you can get somebody else to craft it, but they will have to have Primal Nethers, so always be wary of that whenever you're getting crafted gear. Then we have the Spy Mistress's Wrist Guards. Ooh, couldn't say that. And that comes from the Arcadian quest, the Soul Devices. Not a very hard quest to do. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. This is pretty good. This is very good bracers. Have hit on them, agility, stamina, and a socket. So that's always a plus. And then we have Bands of the Sith. This comes from Sethic Halls. Very good stat stick. I feel like a lot of people in TBC are like move away from gear because it doesn't have green stats on them. But don't fret about that. You also need regular stats. Regular stats are very good for your class. The strength from that gives you a lot of attack power. The agility gives you, I think, crit as a warrior. Crit and hit. I might be wrong about that. I think it's crit though. Gives you crit as a warrior. So very good piece. Very easy to get to. Hands are next up for us. So the 2 crafted ones that we have are Cobra Scale gloves and the Rage Steel gloves. Cobra Scale is from leatherworking. Pretty difficult to craft. The mats for that are a little bit more difficult as they are purple. Usually the purple crafted gear, as you can probably guess, is a little bit harder. They usually require nether, so they are going to be a little bit harder to get, but the stats on them are going to be really, really nice. Rage Steel, kind of the same thing as all the other Rage Steel. You want at least 2 pieces for your set. Make sure to get this. If you don't have the Rage Steel gloves, are usually a good slot to fill if you're not going to get Cobra Scale. Comes with a lot of good crit on it, strength, and it'll get you your 2 set if you need it. Next, we have Gauntlets of the Vanquisher. This was actually from a Netherstorm quest. It's called Turning Point, if you need to look it up. Really good stats on it. Plus, it's got hit. Very solid piece. Plate as well. You know, a lot of the times as a Fury Warrior, we're not going to be using plate. A lot of the other stuff's better. So whenever we can get plate, a little bit more armor, just a little bit more survivability because we're up close and melee range. Very nice to have. Next up, Predatory Gloves. This actually comes from Heroic Mana Tombs. Might be a little harder for you to get, but it does have really good stats on it. Hit rating, crit, and attack power. Having AP stacked onto hit and crit, all of those is just really, really nice to have. So watch out for those. A lot of leather pieces have that. That's kind of why we always gravitate towards leather as a Fury Warrior. Now for the belts, we have the Death Forge Girdle. This is actually going to drop from Sethic Halls from the last boss. Not too hard to do. Regular, just normal dungeon. So easy to farm. Sethic Halls is a really fast dungeon, so shouldn't have a problem with that. Then we have Girdle of the Death Dealer from Heroic Black Morass. This one is going to be a little bit more difficult for you to do. Black Morass is a little bit more skill intensive for, you know, especially if you're kind of new to this. There's a lot going on in that dungeon. If you get a really, really strong group, really easy to burn. If you got people that don't really know what they're doing, it's going to be a little bit harder for you to do. But this belt is very, very strong. Then up next, we have the Naru Belt of Precision. This is actually a quest item from the Arc Key. So when you go to do like your Arc Key to how to break into Alcatraz, you'll actually can get this belt. Very, very strong belt. Even though it's got dodge rating on it, doesn't matter. You know, you got your agility, you got your hit, and you have AP. Very, very strong. The dodge is just kind of there, and maybe if you pull threat as a Fury Warrior, maybe the extra dodge is good. So there it is. There's the belts right there. Pretty decent collection. Now coming into the leggings, you might actually see this as a shock. There's actually a green on here. The mid-realm leggings you actually get from a Netherstorm quest. This is actually a very, very strong green piece. A lot of strength on it. Crit strike is pretty high. You know, the hit's not that good on it, but the stats themselves are pretty decent for what you can actually get as a quest. So very good. Because it's a green, you know, don't sleep on it. It's very, very, very strong. Then we have the fell leather leggings. It's going to be me talking about the fell leather. The fell leather is very, very strong. This is usually what most melee classes in the game go for. Fell leather is, the stats on it are just insane. You're going to want to get the fell leather leggings and the boots. I'm going to talk about the boots here up next. But yes, you want to go for the 2. You don't need the leather working for the 3 set. It just gives you dodge. So it's really not that big a deal. But the leggings and boots are definitely very strong, and you want to for sure go for the leggings. Now, if you don't want to try to get fell leather, and you don't want to go for that, you could get the Midnight leg guards. They come from Heroic Slave Pens from the Quagmiran, however you say his name. These are very, very strong, but they're going to get a lot of competition for this. This is pretty much, I think, best in slot for rogues, shamans, feral druids. You know, like I've said before over the last pieces, you're going to be fighting for a lot of this leather stuff. So, you know, when it comes to like what you would pick here, go for the quest item. I would go for the quest item first, get those greens, you know, wear those for a while. And then eventually, you know, if you can come across the mats to make fell leather and you can maybe find somebody to do it, I would go with that route because the fell leather is very good. Okay, next up is the boots. So, like I said before, in the leggings, we have the fell leather boots. Fell leather boots are really strong. The stats on it are awesome. You know, you got that hit, crit, AP, everything you kind of want. Plus, the sockets. I didn't say anything about the sockets on the legs, but, you know, the legs have 3 sockets. The boots have 2 sockets. Very, very strong socket bonus from the boots. Plus 6 attack power. Always a nice bonus. So, yeah, if you can't go for the boots, go for those. Try to get the mats for those. You know, save up for those. Next, we have Boots of the Unjust. Now, this is a heroic from Heroic AC from, I think, the last boss, the Exarch. I think that's the last boss. Might be the second boss. I'm not sure. I think it's the last boss. Anyways, like I said, all 3 stats, crit, hit, attack power, always good. Never, you know, you're never going to go wrong with those. So any of these pieces that you see with those kind of 3 stats on it, always good. You always want to try to go for those. And then we have the Shatari Rot Greaves from the Arcadian quest, the Into the Heart of the Labyrinth. Like, it's one of those pieces that just got really, really good stats on it. 24 strength, 21 agility, 22 stamina, plus its plate, so it's giving us that armor if you really need that armor, if you feel like you're really, really squishy. Got sockets on it. The socket bonus isn't really necessary, so if you want to fill those sockets with different colored gems, so you don't get that socket bonus, it's really not that big a deal. I would do that, honestly. 2 red sockets here, probably both the strength gems. It's going to be your best bit here, honestly. But very strong feat for the quests, for like what you do for the quests. Okay, so now we are moving into the rings. Now, the rings have a very broad spectrum when it comes to TBC. There is a lot of different ways you can go here. To me, these four personally felt the strongest as I played TBC, as I played, you know, some private servers. These definitely felt the most like they gave me the most bang for my buck, what I had to do for them, and then what the stats did for me to help balance things out. So in my mind, these are the best. We'll go right into it. So the Ring of Umbral Doom, you get this from Botanica, from Thorngrin. This is a very strong piece, 18 stam, 20 crit, 41 AP, lots of AP on that. It's going to make you hit a lot harder. The crit is also very nice because you're trying to build that crit, you know, higher crit on the warrior is going to give you better bleeds from your talent. So definitely try to get this ring. Next up, we have the Ravenclaw Band. You get this from Sethic Halls, the last boss. Again, very strong ring. It'll help you get really close to that hit rating if you're trying to get that hit rating. It also has AP on it, so it'll definitely like help you out if you're trying to balance out that hit mainly. Then we have Slayer's Mark of the Redemption. Now this is actually from an SMV quest called Dissension amongst the ranks. This is a very strong ring. The AP on this is just crazy. The fact that it has hit on it and AP and it's got agility, very strong ring. This is probably one of the strongest out of the four. So make sure you try to get that quest done. I think it's a pretty lengthy quest if I remember correctly, but totally worth it. And it's because it's a quest, you know, it's kind of do at your own pace. You don't have to try to, you know, worry about RNG. You know, you do the quest, you get the ring, and yeah, one really strong ring. Next up, we have Ring of the Shadow Deeps. This is from Heroic Underbog from Gazan. Pretty sure that's like the second boss. It's like the big lizard boss thing, or whatever you want to call it, Hydra. Very strong. Lots of crit on that, and it's got hit, and it's got AP. Like I've said before in the last pieces, every single piece that has 3 of those on there, usually going to help balance you out the best as a warrior. You're going to get where you need to be, and it's going to help you in the long run. Very strong ring, but very RNG because you're doing heroics, and you kind of have to, you know, live on prayer. You have to hope that you get this for your daily. Now as we move on to the trinkets, these are pretty straightforward. There's not a ton of trinkets in the game that help you as a melee for pre-Kara. So these are going to be like probably the 4 that you're going to just completely just go after. First off, we have Core of Arkelos. This actually comes from a Netherstorm quest. Pretty easy to do. You know, also a green, but it has an on-use effect that's really nice. Just increases your AP by 201. It's kind of crazy with an already 53 attack power on it. So once you pop this, you got 254 AP just from one trinket. That is insane. It's going to give you a ton of damage. Very good green piece. Next up, we have Hourglass of the Unraveler. Now this is the best trinket that you could get as a Fury Warrior. Like even through Gruul and Max. Like this is insane. Increases your critical strike rating by 32, and you have a chance on critical hit to increase your attack power by 300 for 10 seconds. If you are building your stats correctly, this procs all the time. It should be almost up all the time. The on critical hit should be, from my practice, from when I've used it, it's the uptime is very strong, especially when you're fighting bosses that have a lot of where you're fighting them for a long time. Even while you're fighting dungeon mobs, even one whirlwind, any of your crits, when you whirlwind, any of those crits that you hit have a chance to proc this. So it's very strong. 300 AP from every critical hit. You know, it's not on cooldown either, like the core was. So this could happen more than every 20 seconds. And then you have Blade Fist's Breath. Now this is a very easy one to do. That's going to be from a Hellfire Peninsula. You have to go into, actually I think this is the one where you kill the boss over in the little like slime area. You will need a group to kill the boss that's over there, but this is also very strong. Kind of does the same thing as the Arkelos, except it gives you crit instead of the AP. This also, if you notice, gives you attack power by 201 for 15 seconds, where the core is 20 seconds. So in my mind, I think the core is better because it gives you that AP, and that lasts for 20 seconds, where this lasts for 15 seconds. If you need the crit though, very easy to go after. You can get this very early on if you're questing, and you can obviously equip it at whenever you get it from the quest. So this is a very strong trinket to get early on while you're in Hellfire Peninsula, just questing and everything. I would do your best to try to get a group for this right as TBC comes out and you do this quest, because it'll be very easy to find people to do this. Next up, we have Abacus of Violent Odds. You actually get this from Mechanar, from Pathalon. This is a very, very strong one. If you are having a really tough time getting Hourglass, Hourglass's drop is kind of weird. If you're having trouble getting that, I would definitely go for Abacus. Abacus is also very good. Increases your haste rating by 261 for 10 seconds. You know, you're almost hitting Drake Fist at that point for your haste. Very, very good. You know, obviously attacking faster as a melee is always a plus. Very good trinket. It's not better than Hourglass, but so if you can try to get Hourglass over this, I would. But there's no problem with using this. You could even use Hourglass and this. It's kind of up to you. Moving on to ranged, this is also a very easy category to fill, in my opinion. There's not a lot of classes that use ranged weapons. Hunters and rogues, most notably. And obviously warriors. Not really sure. I can't really think of any right now, but I'm pretty sure those are the only 3 that use them. So obviously, as you can see here, hunters don't use thrown weapons, so that increases our chances of getting something like this even better. And then all we have to do really deal with is a rogue if we're battling for a rogue and rolls and stuff. But you know, you can always like pick and choose your group, so you don't have to roll with a rogue. First off, we have Mama's Insurance. This is actually very, very good green. This is probably like one of the better greens that you can get for questing. It's from another storm quest, the Clawing Doomclaw. Very, very strong. Lots of AP on it. This is going to be just absolutely massive. The AP on it is just crazy. Plus, it's got critical strike on it. Not the best critical strike, but it is good. The AP there is where we're most looking at. That is a lot of AP on a gun. So very, very good choice. If you get this, you probably don't need to replace it unless you're really, really digging for stats for something else, like you need hit, like you can see on the other weapons. Otherwise, you're going to want to keep this. Next up, we have Fell Steel Whisper Knives. Now, this comes from blacksmithing. I'm pretty sure, I think that these are actually like kind of difficult to get. The mats for them, I'm pretty sure, are not easy to acquire. It might take you some time. You need primals for it, and you need fell steel bars. So, you know, just kind of depends on how your realm is and how fast you can acquire those. If you can farm them or maybe just buy them, you know, all comes down to that with all crafted stuff. But the fell steel knives are really good. They have hit on them, they have crit, and they have AP. Probably your best in slot if you're trying to look for stats, not just going for the, you know, the attack power like Mama's Insurance has. Very, very good. Up next, we have Skyfire Hawkbow. Very, very good. 27 AP on it. That's the second best on this list for AP. Very strong. I'm pretty sure hunters actually want this bow too. I could be wrong on that, but I think hunters want this bow too, so you might have to fight a hunter over it. Otherwise, very, very good bow. You get it from Sethic Halls, so pretty easy. Next up, we have Needle Strike. This also comes from Sethic Halls. Very, very easy to get. It's got hit rating on it. It's got AP on it. It's not as good as the Skyfire, as you can tell, just from raw stats, but very, very good. Super easy to get. Sethic Halls is very, very easy to get. I might have misspoke. I think the Skyfire bow actually comes from Shattered Halls. My bad. It comes from Shattered Halls, not Sethic Halls. So this is actually, the Skyfire Hawkbow is actually going to be harder for you to obtain, but it's obviously better than the Needle Strike. 2 of your best that you can get here, Mama's Insurance, Fell Steel. Definitely go for those, but there is a lot of different weapons that you can fill in the range spot. Now here is where it gets interesting as a Fury Warrior. The main hands. So if you guys didn't know, which some of you might, you want your main hand speed to be kind of slower or slow with a very good top end damage. So starting out here, we have the Blacksmithing Hammer, the Drake Fist. This is going to be very, very strong. The top end damage on this, almost 300 damage, 296 to be exact, 2.7 speed. This is going to be very, very good for your all your abilities. You're going to hit very, very hard. Plus, you got the chance on hit to increase your haste rating by 213 for 10 seconds. So, what I said earlier at the beginning of the video, TBC, they actually said at first that they were going to be one-handed weapons. We were going to be able to dual wield these, and then decided that they wanted to revert back from that patch and make them main hands from what they were at the start of TBC. What this means is that you won't be able to use them as one hand, as it clearly indicates here. You'll have to use it as a main hand, and then you'll have to find an offhand. So that's why I'm kind of breaking this up into main hand / offhand. You'll see offhands next. But if that wasn't the case, I would say literally just double Drake Fist Hammer, run both of them, because you get your chance on hit to increase your haste rating by 213. Very, very strong. Usually as a Fury Warrior, you want a very fast offhand and a very slow main hand. But because of how good Drake Fist is, it is very, very viable to run 2 of them. So because you're running one, yeah, you just want to run that one in your main hand. If you're not doing blacksmithing, the other option is to get Blade Fist. Blade Fist drops from Heroic, Shattered Halls from Blade Fist. Actually a very, very strong option. Does almost the exact same as Drake Fist, as you can see here. The top end damage is pretty close, and the haste is also pretty close. The only downside is that you can't upgrade the Blade Fist, whereas the Drake Fist can be upgraded as you go on, which just increases, you know, how good it gets. So you'll end up having to replace the Blade Fist, where if Drake Fist you wouldn't have to. Next up we have Reflex Blades. Obviously the top end damage isn't going to be as good here, but it does give you hit and AP, which could help balance things out. This comes from Alcatraz, so just normal Alcatraz, very easy to get, very good weapon for your main hand. It's going to be strong throughout if you decide that you don't want to do blacksmithing, or if you haven't gotten the chance to get Heroic, or maybe you just haven't had Blade Fist drop yet. And then you have Harvester of Souls. Now, I honestly think Harvester of Souls could be a better option than Reflex Blade if you are running an Orc. Because of the axe, just because of the 5+ expertise for axes from Orcs, the axe could be a very, very viable option. Also, it's a one hand, so you could potentially dual wield it. I wouldn't advise against it. I would personally advise against it. There's gonna be a lot of warriors I think you see running around with the same kind of speed, main hand and offhand. I'm personally gonna be trying to run with a fast offhand. That's what I think is best. It's really good for fury generation. But if you wanted to, you could run this. Very, very strong weapon, so you could definitely go with this, no problem. All right, so now we're going into the offhand. Starting out, Fell Edge Battle Axe. Let me just say right now, it is going to be a while before you get this. You need 8 Primal Mites to make this, and Primal Mites are not easy to come by. It is on a very slow cooldown for transmutation. You need an Alchemist that has the transmutation, and you need, I think, 1 of each Primal. Not quite sure on that. Might have to check on that, but I think it's 1 of each Primal. So it is not an easy feat to do. This will take you quite a bit of time to try to procure. Other than that, though, we have the Blackout Truncheon. Now, the Blackout Truncheon is a very, very good option if you are not running Drake Fist or you don't have Blade Fist. The haste rating actually does not stack together, so you don't really want to run the Blackout Truncheon if you have either of those weapons, the 2 main hands that I mentioned. The haste will not stack with it, so if your proc goes off for this haste, you'll be missing out on potential procs with your other haste. You can try it if you want. You can try to see how the proc chance is. I personally would advise against it, as it might clash with your other haste rating. Then we have Storm Reaver Warblades. Now these are very good. The crit strike on these is very nice. The attack power is also very nice. They are not too difficult to get. They come from Botanica, just from High Botanist, so not very hard to get. I didn't mention, but the Blackout Truncheon comes from Shadow Labs, from the Grandmaster. The Blackout Truncheon also seems to have a pretty good drop chance. So anyways, the Storm Reaver Warblades, not too hard to get. Very, very solid weapon. Pretty fast. Decent top end damage. As you can see, besides the Fell Edge Battle Axe, the best top end damage. For 1.6 speed, that's very, very good. Next, we have Latro's Shifting Sword at 1.4 speed. Now, this is the fastest weapon on here, as you can see. It does come with expertise on it, which as a Fury Warrior, expertise is very, very strong. There's not a lot of gear pieces that actually give you expertise, so having an offhand that gives you expertise is nice. It'll just decrease the chances of you getting dodged or parried, which is always a plus, because when your melees miss, you don't generate that rage, which can in turn, you know, screw you over in certain situations. So it's very, very nice to stack when you have your hit rating. And that wraps up the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you do, leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you guys want, comment what you think that you would change, or what you're going to be running through TBC. I'd love to see other people's setups for Fury Warrior. I'm always looking for new ideas and new what people have been experimenting with. So yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about what you guys think about Fury Warrior and how you think it's going to be during TBC. If you also like my video, make sure to check out my streams. I stream pretty much daily at this point. Just doing a lot of classic stuff leading into TBC. And if you're listening this into TBC, we are currently playing TBC as a Fury Warrior on Horde on Bloodsail Buccaneers. So if you guys want to see me, hang out with me, I stream almost daily. Make sure to check out my Twitch, and I really appreciate it.